Hello, YouTube.com. My name is Ojama Garrett, so Christian YouTuber, commentator, and I just want to talk about how the adult film industry destroyed my brain. Um, so, kind of like a testimony, but just kind of a commentary. I'm going to try my best. This is my first time really talking about this publicly, but um, when I was a little kid, I discovered adult content, like videos, like adult content websites when I was very young. I became very addicted very quickly, and that addiction uh, probably, if I could take one thing back my entire life, it would be never ever um, participating in that stuff ever again. If I had to say one thing, like the number one thing that completely defined who I was as a person, um, was adult content addiction. Nobody knew. I'm sure people knew if they like saw the signs and stuff like that, but I was consuming it daily for from fifth grade till I want to say by like 23, whenever I got with my last girlfriend, and that was when I'd always been a Christian when I was a kid, but this was one thing I was hiding and living in my entire life and hiding it from everyone because of many reasons, but it destroyed. It still damages the way I view the world. Um, and I gave it up when I like my relationship with women, especially. It really altered that. And this is really tough. Sorry. I'm sure it had a lot to do or led to a lot of the reason why my all of my relationships prior to this one failed was the damage that adult content did to my perception of women in the world, um, and led me to make a lot of bad decisions. And it was a horrible coping mechanism for whenever I got stressed, so that it only made it worse, stressed worse when I couldn't get access to it, and which wasn't very much, but so the only way I was able to stop it though was one day I woke up and I said to God, "Yo, man, I'm sick of I there's one thing I've always wanted to be, and it was married, and I wanted to start a family, um, because of like how destroyed my family was, and I wanted to build my own and do it right." So then I found this church, Marriage Today by Jimmy Evans, and through Gateway Church or whatever. Um, and then I just really hammered studying, and then what it was like to be a husband and the whole whatever. But then the Holy Spirit really came on me hard when I was with my girlfriend, and like whenever I would get that temptation, there was like this overwhelming force to just shut it up that I never had before. And to this day, like there's still that overwhelming force of like it comes in the form of shame, like you shouldn't be looking there. That's like how it manifests most of the time, but it's like it's not a shame, it's like a disappointed father looking over me that's in my head. So like it caused me to not want to go to like water parks and stuff like that because of the way the culture is, or watch videos on the internet, just even in YouTube or whatever, or even really go out into public, because like the way that the culture is now like evolved, in my opinion, to the point where um, it's just to me, it's like adult content. I'm saying it that way, but what I'm saying is like corn, whatever. Corn content is now just popular culture, and it's like the culture is trying to throw it in your face, throw sex in your face. Um, like I now can like move through society without really fall, like letting my gaze fall there, you know, if that makes sense. I don't know how to say it without sounding like I'm fighting being a pervert, because I don't think I'm a pervert. Um, it's just like really weird to talk about this because I don't really talk about this, especially publicly. But like it messed me up for a really long time. But like I said, if it wasn't for God and the way that you're supposed to act, and now about how sexual immorality is the only sin that's against your own body, like yeah, it is like the worst. I feel like it'd probably be better to be addicted to methamphetamine or heroin than it would be to be addicted to adult content, sex, to be addicted to sex. And like, I'm not going to say I'm perfect or whatever. Temptations don't exist because not that temptation, but temptations are always going to exist, especially being a male and just that being your biological indicator or whatever. But I thank God, like, you know, marriage exists because now I can just funnel it all. That's how I deal with it now. Is like I funnel it all into my girlfriend, and it's like very over the top, but still I feel it's not sinful. So like it may feel cringy, but I'd rather feel cringy than sinful. Okay, so now I got through the weird part of just talking about it, but so now I just want to really criticize the adult film industry and stuff like that. And my biggest criticism of it is that, man, like, do you think these adult film stars or whoever these sex workers think about that? That there's like some 10-year old, 11-year-olds out there just really, you know, beating their meat to you. Um, it messes you up bad, bro. And like the adult film industry, I think is the most potent, deadly, um, culture destroying, society destroying force out there. Like I would like again. I know this isn't. This is probably like a horrible would you rather, but I would rather everybody be addicted to like heroin than to sex, because heroin is actually like, I don't know. Maybe that's a little naive to say as well, but oof, yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of wiped out because of that whole public testimony or whatever. But I don't know. The adult film industry destroyed my mind for so long, and it caused me to make so many mistakes that I'm personally on a warpath against it. And I think that like women, I'm not saying like women like to control women, but like sex is not freedom. Sex is slavery, bro. Sex is slavery. The best way to enslave people is through sex, like food and sex. If you can enslave people with like food porn, oh shit, I just whatever. So whatever. If this video gets hit, then I'll try again later. But it through food addiction and then sex addiction. Those are the two main ways I would control a population. If I was going to control a population, I would concentrate sugar down into a point where your dopamine receptors in your brain are so fried and short circuited that you need to like suck syrup sauce daily just to dose yourself, just to be able to like get through the day. And then I would also have you like I would also deliver society adult film um, content just at every screen you go to, at every portal. So outside, I would encourage girls to dress the way they dress, and I would encourage them to be with everybody. I would encourage people to take birth control. I would encourage people to use condoms. I would encourage people to do all of these things. I would encourage people to think that sex is just a thing that's not any deeper than that, and you should just do it and just completely fry out your dopamine receptors so that you are so fried and cooked that you can't have so you can never experience conflict. You can never experience uncomfortableness without having to be dosed with your sugar and sex, so much so that you look to those two things as your relief valve, your coping mechanism, instead of actually trying to find the solution to get out of the bad situation that you're in. That's what I would do. I would do that to my population too if I wanted to just farm them for passive labor and then like completely like what is that called? Completely like cuck them so that they can't do anything except for work, be a little bit productive, and that I can shove, um, I can use them as a landfill to process waste products from my businesses that I don't want to actually have to put the labor in myself. If I wanted to, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like it's such a huge subject that I can't really cover in one little video, but it's so. If I wanted to see one thing banned in America, like I'm not for banning really anything, it would be adult content. That's just me. But that's my first attempt at talking about adult film content, I guess. Um, it's horrible. It is probably the worst thing that a person can be addicted to. And the fact that our country is perpetuating it so much so, I think makes us not worthy of being the number one country in the world anymore, just on that in and of itself. And the fact that we are just so, as Christians especially, so just like willing to let it exist, and not at least argue against it. You know what I mean? Because like I was like watching this one OnlyFans star who had like reconverted back to Christianity or something like that. Her name's like Nala or something like that. And then I was trying to watch her debate this guy Andrew Wilson, and she was like, one, not very Christian, but she was not trying to judge her for that. But what I am trying to judge her for was the tight booty shorts that she was wearing in the video, which like she wasn't standing up. I knew that it was just like I just saw the side view or whatever with like to her knee, and I'm just like, you walk around like that, and then you want to like try to use your massive platform to represent Jesus, but still promote sexual immorality. That just like that's just. I'm not saying like we should hijab it up and then put on like face coverings and shit like that, but there is like a very obvious female image that because men are visual, whatever, and the whole argument where you're like, maybe you should teach your kids not to be little whatevers. But I mean, like, if you tempt them, and I'm not talking about like wearing clothing, pants that just fit a certain way, and then your butt is whatever. I'm talking about like cleavage. I'm talking about the tight booty shorts and tight yoga pants, the tight whatever. And then you got people like Glorilla and um, like hip hop stars talking about their moose knuckle and their coochie swole and stuff like that. Like the sex culture is being so shoved in your face that you have to like essentially walk around with earplugs all day and have shades on, or like a blindfold, and then like walk around with a blind person stick to stay away from that type of stuff. Like, so how are you supposed to teach your children not to be how to fight against that when it's so overwhelming? That'd be like pushing someone into a fire and then being like, bro, just deal with it. It's whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, that was a bad metaphor because I couldn't think of it, but like it is essentially being like for punishing your child for not being able to handle a fire when you push them into it, essentially, or like sticking your kid's hands into boiling hot water and then yelling at them for crying. You know what I mean? It's the same type. Like it's hyperbolic a little bit, but it's not even at the same time because of the way advertisers, whatever. I remember even learning in school about how sex appeal is a marketing strategy. So it's like in a business sense, they teach it as like a good business strategy, as in like you can make a lot of money, but like then they try to talk about business ethics at the same time, while then also like taking advantage of a biological mechanism to exploit USD out of somebody, US dollars, sorry, to get them to buy your product, but not on the basis of the product's value in the first place. So yeah, those are kind of my takes so far about it, but this will probably be a multi-parter because I feel like this is something I feel like that if I do like come onto the scene, like the public, become a public figure in some way, it will be in large fighting against the sex work epidemic in our country. And I do believe that it is morally corrupt and evil on every level. And there's no, well, if it's two consenting adults, then who cares? Because it never is just that. And you can say slippery slope fallacy all you want, but I have an entire slippery slope of evidence just in the state of the culture today. So see you later. Hopefully this isn't too cringe, but I'll catch you later.